Good morning, welcome to Education Plus. It is every student's dream to get into a top institute such as the IITs and NITs. However, with the lack of students applying for a few thousand seats, the competition is very intense. We have in our studio two distinguished guests to offer guidance and share tips for IIT JEE preparation. So first of all, let me introduce Y. Srinivas, an IIM Ahmedabad graduate and Director Nano Educational Institutes, and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Garu, Director Nano, who has sent a score of students to IIT and NITs are with us today. Welcome all. So first of all, let us start with Srinivas Garu. And what is why there is a crack of IITs, craze about IITs?
There are several reasons for this demand. Obviously, when we're talking about 12 lakh students appearing for a test which selects only 12,000 students, then there is a huge demand. If you ask an IIT student, a student who's preparing for IIT, if you ask him why this demand is there, immediately we'll get the response, it is because of the salaries and all that. Because we know in the newspapers and all that we see students getting 1 crore plus packages from the IITs. Some others may say that the faculty is good, infrastructure is good, there are a lot of other facilities, opportunities available, etc. But if you dig a little deeper and see, the actual reasons will come out. First, what is the raw material for the IIT education system? It is the students. And how are these students getting selected? 12 lakh students, I already told you, 12 lakh students are appearing for this test and only 12,000 students are getting selected. So that means in that year, they are the best of the best. They are the cream of that batch in that particular year. When you coexist with these students for 4 years in an intensely competitive atmosphere, obviously students will be ready to face any kind of challenge in life or in career. Also, the students have a number of extracurricular and co-curricular activities, projects, internships, number of opportunities where their personality gets developed. Just look at the examples around us. If you see, for example, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google and now the CEO of Alphabet, he is a leader in the technology space. Arvind Kejriwal, who's in the news now, Chief Minister of Delhi, also from IIT Kharagpur. Sundar Pichai was from IIT Kharagpur, Arvind Kejriwal also from IIT Kharagpur. He's a leader in public service. Then Raghuram Rajan, former governor of Reserve Bank of India, a well-known economist from IIT Delhi. He's a leader in economics. Nandan Nilekani, one of the co-founders of Infosys and the person who actually conceptualized the Aadhaar scheme of things, he's from IIT Bombay. He's a leader in business and entrepreneurship. I can go on and give you examples of several IITians who've held or are holding leadership positions today in various facets of life and society. So if you ask me, IITs is all about producing these kind of leaders. So from the IITs, you don't just get a BTech degree. You go through a life-changing, a career-changing experience. No wonder there is so much of demand for the IIT seats.
Okay, then next Chaitanya Garu, how does the student prepare for JEE Main and JEE Advanced, and how is it IIT JEE different?
Okay, JEE Main and JEE Advanced are the examinations which respectively prepare the child for getting admission into NITs and IITs. So for getting into IITs, it's the JEE Advanced, and for getting into NITs and IIITs, it is JEE Main.
Okay.
So these two examinations are very different. JEE Main is an examination which focuses on basic understanding of concepts and simple applications. So if a child is thorough with all the concepts, if he understood the concepts very well, and if he practices keeping in track the previous questions, then he will be able to score very well in JEE Main kind of examination. But JEE Advanced is altogether a different examination. JEE Advanced for years has been testing students in terms of not just concepts, but also in terms of their problem solving skills.
Okay.
And it will have questions from various multidisciplinary chapters. So a question which may at the outset look like a calculus question may actually be from algebra, or it may sometimes be from coordinate geometry, or it may even not be from maths, and it may have something to do with physics as well. So the questions will be very diverse, and they will thoroughly test the application part of the child. So Mr. Srinivas has told that 12 lakh aspirants, and from that we are targeting at around 10,000 seats. So basically the paper setter target would be to eliminate ruthlessly 11,90,000 people. So that is the reason he makes the paper in such a way that only people with thorough understanding of concepts and application abilities are able to crack it. So the preparation will also be definitely lot very different. So initially the questions will look like a tough nut to crack. So children who are preparing for JEE advanced especially should not get bogged down by looking at these questions or looking at the toughness of the examination, and they should feel motivated. Like any tough challenge will shape you. Like whenever you go to the gym, you pick the lowest of the weight, that will not give you a lot of strength. And the more the strength, more the weight, more the strength, more the resistance, more you gain. So they have to see the larger picture in mind, they have to keep that larger picture in mind and start for this examination. And good institutes will motivate them to gradually go through that toughness of the examination, and they will be able to wonderfully do that.
Okay, and Srinivas Garu, what characteristics should a student have to crack this IIT JEE?
At the basic level, we are talking about above average intelligence. There is a misconception that only geniuses get into IITs. It's not necessary. Average, above average intelligence and a mathematical aptitude, interest in maths. These are some of the things which are very fundamental in nature. But more than this, more importantly, students need to have determination and persistence. Because a student in these 2 years of preparation goes through a number of ups and downs. At a school level, there may be a limited set of toppers in a particular class. The top ranks will be circulated among the top 4 or 5 students in a class. But in a campus like ours, in an IIT campus like ours, every student is a topper. So, in a particular weekly test, a student may get top marks, and in another weekly test, he may not figure in the toppers list. So, he should not become elated or complacent just because he's topped one particular test. At the same time, he should not get frustrated and disheartened because he's not done well in a particular weekly test. So, the zeal to perform should continue for this 2 years. In addition, the student should have the stamina to work for at least 10 to 12 hours every day. Because that is the kind of practice that students need to put in. And when we are talking about this kind of stamina, obviously students need to have to distract, they should be insulated from distractions. The normal distractions that we see today is mobile phone, the TV, the internet, etc. So they need to insulate from these kind of distractions. In addition, in this 12 hours, we're talking about 6 hours of instruction and 6 hours of practice. So what the students does in this 12 hours becomes important. So time management becomes important, because normally if you leave it to the student, and it is a normal human characteristic, that I would continue to do what I'm interested in. Suppose I'm interested in maths and I like maths, I'll continue to do maths. But in the case of JEE, I need to show my competence in not just maths, but physics and chemistry. So I need to manage time in such a manner that I give equal importance to all the 3 sections based obviously on my strengths and weaknesses. So time management becomes very important. In addition, the student needs to get good coaching, access to good learning and teaching resources. That has become very important because IIT JEE has become very competitive. In addition, he needs to have a very supportive family, a good friend circle, and finally, the most important characteristic is confidence in oneself, a positive attitude towards the career that he's chosen, positive attitude and confidence in the institution he's going to where he's taking his coaching, also confidence in his teachers, because that is the confidence which will allow the student to follow their instructions well and do well in the exam. So in brief, these are some of the characteristics that a good IIT aspirant should be having.
Okay, next Chaitanya Garu, is it necessary for a student to take must coaching in IIT and JEE?
Yeah, it is definitely must for a child to take coaching in IIT JEE, because the competition involved in the examination is very huge. It's almost like 10,000 students out of 12 lakh aspirants. And more than that, it is not an examination where a plain subject is involved or understanding of subject is involved. It is a lot to do with application. So you need to develop or imbibe in yourself that problem solving ability. in the very beginning it may look different because this was very different from what students were preparing for last 12, 13 years of their education. This will be a completely different approach, and whenever we start something new, the pains will be initially high. Any good thing you start, you will have to face that initial pain. So, if you are in a proper coaching center, the teacher manages the process very well, and he will allow you to smoothly sail through that process. And also, questions being from multidisciplinary ways, there are certain approaches which only an experienced teacher who was a problem solver himself could go through the question, identify the keywords in the question, and with that keywords he will be able to intuitively
Okay.
get the idea of how to approach to that question. So, once you are in the hands of such experienced teachers, you will be able to follow his intuition, and you will be able to learn through his experience. So, it is not something which can be drafted in the books, or it cannot be something which you simply go through the study material, you will get it. No, through the experience of the teacher only, you will be able to learn this skill of solving questions. That is the second thing. And third thing is, JEE is a very low scoring examination. So, not even 50 people could score more than 90% in last 5 years. So, that is the kind of toughness that examination has, and even to get a seat, 50% mark is more than sufficient in JEE Advanced to get a wonderful seat. So, it is a low scoring examination. Student all the way through his till his 10th class, he was used to getting 10 CGPA, 9.8 CGPA, and marks, teachers pour marks like anything till 10th class. So, suddenly seeing that 50% is a good score is something very difficult to digest. So, at this stage, it is very much possible that students get disheartened and they lose hope, and they try to give up coaching or give up their preparation. So, if they are in proper hands, the teacher will let him not do that, and he will motivate him, and he gives some examples, and he will ensure that the process is smooth. I will tell you one simple example. Michael Phelps, he is the most distinguished Olympian, and he won almost 28 medals for himself, which is highest in the world, and of which 23 are gold. So, when he started his Olympic career way back in 2000 in Sydney, how many medals would he have scored? It was 0. So, forget the medals, he did not even enter finals of any competition except for 2000-meter butterfly race, and in which he was only 5th place. So, anybody at that stage would be disheartened, and with the kind of his age, he would definitely be disheartened and would have lost hope, and people give up or they settle for something lower, focus only on national level competitions and forget Olympics. But that did not happen with Phelps. He bounced back, he came back to the next Olympics, won 8 medals, which was highest in the world, that was on par with the world record, and in the next Beijing Olympics in 2008, he won 8 golds, which is highest ever, and probably another generation would it would be the highest medals. So, it is not what you are now, it is always what you want to be at the end of 2 years. So, through the process, once you have set the goal for yourself that I want to crack JEE, whatever obstacles may come in between, you should think of the future, and you should think of how I want to improve from this stage to what I want to be. So, from present state to desired state, that transition is very important, and that planning is very important. Irrespective of what you are now, you can be whatever you want, and that can happen when you are motivated, when you are determined, and when you have the help of proper mentor with you, and that mentoring is something which is very crucial, and that is the reason we recommend to everybody to have coaching.
And Srinivas Garu, let me explain one thing. Can CBSE students without taking IIT foundation course till 10th class hope to crack IIT and JEE?
Yeah, actually there are two questions embedded in what you asked right now. One is the CBSE students. Let's tackle the CBSE students, because this is a question we often get from parents of CBSE students. Should they actually shift to intermediate at all in the first place? That's a question they get, because they feel that CBSE is somewhere superior, and then shifting to intermediate will be kind of inferior. First thing is, most people don't realize that there is not much of difference in terms of syllabus between CBSE and intermediate. In fact, intermediate maths and physics, physics and chemistry textbooks are the same as NCERT books. Maths anyway, intermediate syllabus is a little superior. So overall, I would say syllabus wise, intermediate has got an upper hand. But the more importantly, the integrated coaching that is required for students to get into the IITs, that coaching is available only in intermediate colleges. Therefore, if a CBSE student is interested in taking IIT coaching, best for him would be to go for intermediate, shift to intermediate, because otherwise if he continues in a CBSE school, he has to go for coaching somewhere else, and he will get say around 2 to 3 hours of coaching every day. That is grossly inadequate. In addition, there will be other difficulties. For example, the track that he's following in the school may be different from the track that he's following at the coaching institute, and he'll get squeezed between these two. So rather, if he goes to an intermediate junior college like ours, where we take care of IIT coaching as well as intermediate coverage, he will not have any problem. Second question with regard to foundation. So strictly speaking, we would say that, even without foundation, students manage to do well. We get a lot of students without foundation and they do very well, they get top ranks. That's not an issue. So to say that only students with foundation will crack IIT, that's not correct.
Okay.
Now, second point is that even within foundation, we have two categories. One is teaching up to 10th class syllabus for high school students, maths, physics and chemistry. Teach them the concepts well, develop problem solving skills, develop analytical skills. That's the right way to go, and if somebody goes through that, it is beneficial. But there is a second and more dangerous one, which we find in all these techno and Olympiad schools, where intermediate syllabus is taught at the high school level. Now that is detrimental and it will be harmful. In most cases, maybe a few students may be in a position to take the load, but a majority of the students will have a problem. That is something which we don't recommend.
First of all, అంటే ఒక స్టూడెంట్ ప్రిపరేషన్ టైంలో పేరెంట్స్ సపోర్ట్ అనేది చాలా మస్ట్. అంటే వాట్ ఈస్ ద రోల్ ఆఫ్ పేరెంట్స్ డ్యూరింగ్ దీస్ 2 years?
Role of parent will be very crucial. Actually, we don't see it in the front. Like whenever we watch a movie, it is the hero or the heroine whom we watch. But the role of producer and director will be very vital, without which whatever be the capacity of the hero, movie doesn't fare well. So like that, parent will be working in the backdrop, but the role of parent will be very crucial. Right away from goal setting to the declaration of the result, at every instance it is the parent's role which is very important, because at the end of the day, students are Xerox copies of their parents. So the initial learning areas, they are all spent with their parents, and they try to imitate their parents, and they are their role models. So parents, without forcing, because coaching here will be very rigorous, automatically student will already be stressed. So parents should play the role of motivating the child and leading him by example. So especially these 2 years, what I recommend to all parents is they have to lead the child by example. Like, I should never tell my child to study. I should start studying myself, take a file of office or start working myself or do my things with diligence. Automatically that will set an example to the child, and child will try to follow you. So that kind of rapport has to be maintained with the child. And these 2 years especially, the parent should cut down on his task, especially the less important ones he should try to avoid, and try to give children maximum amount of time possible. Whatever he can do, that will be a great investment on the child. That is one thing. And second thing, the child marks will be on and off wavering. There will be lots and ups and downs. So the role of parenting should not restrict just to payment of fees or just to blaming the teachers. It should be lot more important, and through the downs they have to motivate the child, show them the vision, take to the teachers, and get the counseling done, and try to ensure that the marks are pushed up. And when the marks are up, there will always be a chance that the child is overwhelmed and he doesn't want, is more overconfident. It can happen, and at that time he has to play a role of again bringing that confidence levels to normal. So this level playing has to be done with a parent, and it will also be done in the institution, but more importantly, because most of the self learning happens at home, that is where child will be preparing on his own. So that time has to be taken care of by the parent very well.
And Srinivas garu, there are a lot of academies and there are a lot of students preparing in academies. Aithe, how is Nano different?
Yeah, we said actually IIT is not difficult, IIT is different. Nano is also different in a number of ways. First and foremost, our focus is on concepts based learning. So we do not encourage learning by rote. So no memorization as such. So concepts are taught thoroughly and then we move on to practice. Because of which what happens is students develop a firm grasp of the subject. They will do well in the entrance test, whatever be the nature of the entrance test, the paper pattern can change, but our students will do well. And later on, when they get into engineering, whatever fundamentals they have learnt in maths and physics, and most importantly, problem solving, independent problem solving abilities, analytical abilities, that will help them in their BTech career. But for that to happen, we need to have good faculty. Fortunately, we have people with 15 to 30 years experience, and some of them are legends like Sri Ashwath Rao Garu, who's well known in mathematics. He's with us. There are well known such names. So all of these people don't just limit themselves to teaching the subject in the class. They inspire, motivate the children. They also provide mentorship, guidance, because a competitive, all India competitive entrance test such as IIT JEE requires a lot of guidance at every stage during these 2 years. And that is something done by the faculty. And the second thing is, in addition to all of these things, our faculty also have a very healthy doubts clarification culture. So that is part of our DNA actually. Because as I told you, we focus on concepts, and when we have concepts-based teaching, doubts will come out, and whenever these doubts arise, the doubts have to be clarified. So we pay a lot of attention to that. And the third most important thing is stress-free learning. A lot of people think that stress-free learning means no study. That's not it. We have a student-friendly ambience, because a lot of people think that IIT coaching means it'll be a high-pressure game. Contrary to that, we have a very student-friendly atmosphere in our campus. For example, the pace at which we teach, every student, irrespective of his background or strengths or weaknesses, will be very comfortable with the way we teach. For example, we complete the syllabus for the first year in December, by December of the first year. Second year again, comfortably, teaching them the concepts, allowing the practice to be done, having these weekly tests. We complete the syllabus by September. We have October, November, and December, 3 months for a thorough revision, and that should be sufficient. So we don't pressurize the students by completing the syllabus in advance and forcing 2-3 revisions. We don't do that. Also, in addition to all of these things, we use technology heavily. All our students are given a tablet device, and we have Wi-Fi throughout our campus. All the weekly tests are done through the tablet devices, both the JEE Main as well as the JEE Advanced. They have 2 weekly tests every week. And what happens after the test is, we get a lot of analytics. We use this analytics to counsel and guide the student. We get performance analytics, we get behavioral analytics, we get comparative analytics, which will allow us to guide the student with respect to the competition. In addition, we have a very academic atmosphere in the campus. I would say, though we call ourselves a junior college, it's actually a school kind of situation here. All our students have uniforms. We value discipline, because we feel that unless that discipline is there, students will not be able to go through a kind of rigorous education that the IIT JEE coaching demands. So these are some of the ways in which we are different.
And Chaitanya garu, we are talking about the stress. I would like to ask you something. How does a student handle stress during these 2 years of preparation?
Okay, stress has a positive side of it and a negative side of it. Positive side of it is very important in terms of completion of work, and unless we have a deadline or something, we are not pushed. Generally, when people are motivated, either they are motivated towards the gains or away from the pain. So this positive stress is something which will push them away from the pain and push them towards the gain. And the negative part of stress is very dangerous to handle. And the main reason, especially at this age, for that stress to accumulate is procrastination, postponement. Generally students are not used to start their preparation right from day 1 of school. They get it delayed, and unless a unit test or pre-final or annual examination is announced, the preparation or the rigor for the preparation will not start. If the same trend continues in JEE kind of examination, then things will be worst. Because JEE is an examination where skills have to be honed, and it's a process. It will not happen just 1 week before the examination or 2 weeks before the examination. It has to be gradually happening. So without fail, a child has to be actively part from day 1 of the preparation, and ensure that he doesn't miss a single day of the preparation, because every single day, like in the very beginning Srinivas has told that it's all about 12 hours of preparation a day.
Yes.
So if I miss 12 hour of preparation on a particular day for whatever reason, if I have to compensate on any other day, I have to make it 12 plus 12, 24, which is never possible. So the pressure gets, the task gets accumulated, and proportionally pressure gets mounted upon. In physics we have a formula, pressure is force upon unit area. The same analogy if we draw, force is the amount of work which you have to do, which can neither be reduced nor be increased, it's fixed, and area is the time which is available to you. So to decrease the pressure, what we need to do is, we cannot do anything with the numerator, we can only increase the denominator. So increase the time available to you. So by spanning your preparation on entire 2 years, using every single day and using every hour effectively, you will be automatically able to cut down the pressure to larger extent. We also have an example here.
Right.
We know this very important mythological story in Mahabharata. Bhishma, when he was shot by arrows by Arjuna in December, he wanted to die only in the month of January, after the January 14th in the different solar region. So what he did is, he wanted to stay in the warfield for till then, and he was resting on the bed of arrows.
Okay.
So how can such thing happen that such a
Okay.
heavy person is lying on the bed of roses, is because his entire weight was distributed across thousands of arrows, not on a single arrow. So that is how your entire preparation should span out on the entire day line, and you should properly plan the preparation. That is when you can happily prepare without any stress.
రైట్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ చైతన్య గారు. ఇది ఇవాళ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ప్లస్. చూస్తూనే ఉండండి 10 TV.